Hey guys, Chris Dick here. So I've recently been asked to do some tutorials on the basics of working with C Sharp. And so what we're going to do is try to start with a series of videos that are, 5 to 10 minutes long, where I talk about simple things using Visual Studio and C Sharp. I'll also be doing a few other videos on Java, JavaScript, jQuery, all in due time. So let's get started here. So if we go to the File, New, we're going to create a console application. And you don't necessarily have to do this every time, but if you start to get good at it, you'll start to realize that you just have to create the one application. So I'm going to save this to my desktop, and you may find that useful as well. I'm going to save this to my desktop, and for this one, I'm going to call this part one. And think about your naming conventions as well. I almost made the same mistake. Um, Spaces should be underscores. If the more spaces you have, the more complicated it is to work with your file names. So try to avoid using spaces. So I'm going to say part one variables. All right. And in fact, because I am going to have more than a double digit, I'm going to pad it with a 0 here. So part 01 underscore variables. We're going to start working with how does a variable work? Well, a variable is a placeholder, if you will, it's a memory location, okay? And in C Sharp, it's quite easy to work with variables. There's a lot of different data types to use. And in this case, we're going to start off with some very simple things. Um, just so you understand the interface that we have here, we are in a very simple object called program, and that is a class right there. And once you start getting into objects and classes, I'll explain all that to you. But in order for a program to run, every program needs a main function. Even a web application or an app, they all have a main function from the start. Sometimes it's just kind of hidden away someplace, and it's not called directly by you. But this case here, we are calling from the very lowest level of an application. So let's get started. So if we are in C sharp main section here, you'll notice as well that this is a static function, which means anything declared in here stays in memory. So, and we'll talk about that later on. So let's look at a very simple variable type. So we have a data type of a string, okay? And a string is like a sentence, okay? It's a mixture of characters and letters and punctuation marks and invisible characters, all kinds of things. And the best way to think about a string is it's just a collection. So each character in that long sentence is one part of something called an array or a table. Okay, we'll get into that. So I just want to allude to that. Okay, so if I said my variable is my name, okay, we're going to use that name. And in this case, it's a string. So what we have to do is we have to encapsulate that information inside quotes, okay? So just imagine, remember what I was talking about, it's a sentence. So imagine someone is speaking a sentence and you're saying, oh, and so-and-so said, quote, this is my sentence, right? This is my string sentence, okay? That would be assigning a variable to my variable. All right. Now you're going to see this quite commonly used here. I'm going to write that information out to the screen. Okay. So we're going to run this. My variable. Okay. And if you're wondering how I'm typing it out so fast sometimes is if I do this, let's say my variable, I push control space and it'll complete. And if there's more than one variable that has a similar name, it'll pop down a list. Okay. Now the last thing that we're going to do is we're just going to put read at the end here. What this will do is it'll write the my variable out to the screen, okay? And this one here, this read symbol or statement here is going to wait until I push enter or a key, and once I push a key, it'll just simply close out the application. So let's run this. It's the first time it gets run, so you'll notice it may go a little bit slowly. Once it's done this a few times, it actually becomes a lot quicker to do. So here we are. This is my string sentence. Simple as that. We've got data out to the screen. Okay. Now the next step is we have numbers as well that might be put up to the screen. Okay. And a number can be a variety of types. Okay, we have an integer, which is a whole number. In other words, it's not a fraction of a number; it's a whole number. So if we do this, we call it my number. All right, we can call it anything you like. Let's say it's 10. All right. So if we do this, you see here it's popping down this list. I just push the tab key there, and that puts it out. So in this statement here, I'm going to output my variable and then my number. All right. So if I run this, let's just find out what happens. Okay. Very easily, it says this is my string sentence, and then this is then the 10 that is there before. The other thing that may come up is you may need to format some output. Okay, so let's say let's do this here. So we have something called an array. Okay, and an array, which I will do in a further lesson later on. This case here is string.format, and that curly braces 0 indicates that it's the first element of a parameters array. Okay, and array kind of looks like this here. You see these little square brackets? That indicates an array. So if I used args as a parameter in here, I would be assuming that I have 2 elements in my array because I have 0. My first element of the array is 0, and then the second is 1. When we get into arrays a little bit more, we'll start to bring that in. So what I'm going to do here is I can create a parameter list just like this. Okay, and let's see here. My sentence is this. Okay. What I'm doing here is I'm creating a parameter list. So anything after these quotes, this is a format string. Anything after this quote here is parameters that can get fed into this format. All right. So let's try running this. Now what this is going to do, just kind of guess, this is going to say my sentence is, whoops, I got to spell that right, eh? My sentence is, and then it will feed in the value of my variable right there. So this is my string sentence. And then my number is my number, which will be 10. So we'll play that, see what happens, and we're looking pretty good. My number is, this is my string or my sentence is, this is my string sentence. My number is 10. Pretty straightforward so far. Okay, so that's the lesson for variables. We're going to get into data types in further lessons, but I wanted to give you some ideas on how variables work. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and share, and please subscribe to my channel. Bye-bye.